James and Lorra met in the most ordinary way, through a group project in college. He was the boy who never took anything seriously, and she was the girl who carried responsibility like second nature. Where he was reckless, she was careful. Where he was careless with time, she valued every second. And somehow, this difference pulled them together. They fell in love not with fireworks, but with the small, unspoken things. The way James would walk her home when it was late. The way Lorra laughed at his dumbest jokes. The way they believed they would always belong to each other. But love has its breaking point. For James, it came one night at a party. It wasn't betrayal in the way most people think of it. He didn't kiss someone else. He didn't confess to loving another girl. His mistake was worse in Lorra's eyes. He chose his pride over her. Lorra had asked him to leave with her when the night got out of control, when people were drinking too much and things felt unsafe. But James laughed, brushed her hand away, and told her to stop being too serious. In front of everyone, he embarrassed her, dismissed her voice, and stayed behind with his friends. That was the mistake. Not listening when she needed him most. Lorra left alone that night, walking miles under streetlights with tears she wouldn't let anyone see. She told herself it was just a small fight, that he would apologize, that he would come after her. But he didn't. Days passed, then weeks, and the silence between them grew louder than any apology could fill. She realized it wasn't about one night, it was about a pattern. James never listened when it mattered. He always thought she would forgive because she always had. But this time was different. Something in her broke that night, and she knew she couldn't go back. Years later, James thought of her more often than he admitted. He had grown, matured, and regretted the arrogance of his youth. He told himself that if he ever saw her again, he would say all the things he should have said back then. But fate is cruel. When they finally crossed paths at a bookstore, him holding a novel, her standing in line with a little girl holding her hand, he froze. She looked at him, just for a second, and her eyes told him everything. She had moved on, but the memory of his mistake would never leave her. It wasn't anger. It wasn't hatred. It was something colder. Indifference. And that was the moment James understood. Sometimes the greatest mistake a man can make isn't losing the girl he loves to someone else. It's losing her trust, her safety, and her belief in him. Lorra would never forget what he did, not because she wanted to hold a grudge, but because it changed the way she saw him forever. Love, once cracked, never returns the same. The story of James and Lorra became a quiet tragedy. Not because they didn't love each other, but because one careless mistake turned into a permanent scar. And James would carry that scar for the rest of his life, knowing that the girl who once laughed at his jokes, the girl who once held his hand like it was the safest place in the world, had become the woman who could walk past him without a second thought. The mistake he made was the mistake she would never forget.